Hello, good morning children. How are you? Come on. From this video, I am going to start the new chapter of history. What, where, how and when. These four elements we try to understand in the concept of history. What is history? History is the study of the people and events of the past. Come on children. Now here is a story of Rashidas. Rashida sat reading the newspaper. Suddenly her eyes fell on a small headline, 100 years ago. She wondered, could anyone know what happens so many years ago? No one knows what happens 100 years ago. So we have to finding out what happened. Maybe you know what happened yesterday. For example, you listened to the radio, watched television, read a newspaper. Last year, ask in your friend somebody who remember what happened last year. But what about long? Let us see how it can be done. We can't find out how what happened 100 years before or 1,000 years before. Come on. What can we know about the past? What can we know about the past is the past of what? Past of the food, clothes and house. All this come under the question what kind of food taken by Harappan civilization or by the Egyptians. We need to know the past so that we can know about what was happened in the past earlier. Why Britishers rule our country for the past year, which we are going to study in the history, the rule of the British, how they ruled, how they exploited our resources, how they exploited our artisans, craftsmen, all these things, what happened in the past is going to study in the history. More we can find out about the lives of the hunters, herders, farmers, rulers and merchants and about the musician and scientists. You know children, you will learn about the scientists, the inventions, discoveries, musicians, all we are learning in the books. Understood about these people who has done the great inventions or the great musicians, and also the games they played earlier, what type of the game played, now what type of games you're playing now, like indoor and outdoor games, all these things are matter. So this is all the different changes took place in this years. So I hope you have understand what can people know about the past. Now we come to where did people live, where the where the second important question, before we understand the question important, where we have simple code that give us much broader meaning. History is studied geographically and geography is studied historically. Come on children, in this page you can see the map. Understood? This is a map of India. Now it is easy to find the Suleiman and Kirta hills to the northwest. See, there is the Indus River. There is a Thar desert here. About the Indus River here. About the Indus River, there is a Kirtar and Suleiman range. No, this is the some of the areas where women and men first began to grow crops because the people settled down near the valleys. Indus Valley, the first people settled down in the valleys. For what? For the purpose of agriculture, growing crops. Why they studied near the valleys and this bank of the rivers? For the need for this they need the water, and also they started. People began rearing animals like sheep, goat, and cattle. In this map, we have to underline the Garo Hills in the northeast and Vindhyas in the central India. See children, in this locate the Ganga and tributary called the Sun. There is a trace the river Indus and its tributaries. What is tributaries? A smaller rivers that flow into a larger one. You know, about 4,700 years ago, some of the earliest cities flourished. Where it's flourished? Near the banks of the river. You know, 2,500 years ago, cities developed in the on the banks of the Ganga and tributaries along the sea coast because the people used to cultivate the crops, and for the cultivation of the crops they need water. Irrigation facilities, we are having canals, we are having dams. Now that period there was no like this. You know, in ancient time, the area along this river to the south of the Ganga was known as Magadha, now lying in the state of Bihar. You know, the people traveled from one part of the subcontinent to the other. The hills and the high mountains, including Himalayas, desert, rivers, and seas, made the journey very dangerous for them because it was very difficult to cross this area. So, but it was never impossible. Men and women moved in search of livelihood, also to escape from the natural disaster. What was the natural disaster? Was floods or drought. Beside merchants travel with caravans or ships with the valuable goods from place to place. They have to transferred. All religious teachers walk from village to town, stopping to offer instruction and advice on the way. They were used to give the instruction. These religious and teachers. Finally, some people perhaps travel driven by the spirit of adventure, means for the purpose of adventure, and they have the very eager to want to discover the new and exciting places. So this led to the sharing of ideas between the people. What they have learned, they share with they have shared with the countries. So children, I conclude my part. Inshallah, we'll meet in the next video. So what you have to do is you have to read the chapter. When you watch the video, please keep your textbook in front of you, and as well as you should also read the part which I explained you so that you can easily understand. So till then, you have a nice day and goodbye.